Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Or next 50 and many more.
So many more.
Welcome. I'm Sylvia.
I'm Jenny.
And welcome to your next 50. It is a show. It is a podcast. It is a way of being, Jenny.
Oh my gosh,
Mitchell.
I was just going to say that, Sylvia. I swear, I was just going to say it's a way of being, right?
We are just like through the computer screen here. We are just like so connected. We are.
Yeah.
Welcome. We're celebrating today because we realized this week, 1 year ago, we launched without really knowing anything. Today is all about lessons.
It's about lessons and
about what we learned.
We're not exaggerating when we say we really didn't know anything, right? Like in the podcast world, we both have expertise.
Oh yeah, we know
right?
things in other areas. Like we do, really, we do. However, when it came to launching first a YouTube show, like old ladies on YouTube. What's that, Jenny Mitchell?
You should have heard what my kids said about it. It was quite funny. And so today's show is all about bringing all of you, our beautiful, amazing listeners that show up, listen, download. Thank you so much. I cannot tell you how huge and big my heart is when we see those download numbers. And we're here to bring you some lessons learned, and maybe they'll be helpful in your life as well.
Well, you know what, Jenny? In some groups that I'm in, business coaching groups, a lot of people talk about wanting to launch a podcast.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of calls, Sylvia, help me figure it out. And it seems harder than it is. But you hit on something in the marketing when we were, promoting this. And, anyone can launch a podcast. And really you can. And we're even making it easier here. We go live, so there's no editing really in the podcast on Apple, and we add music, we add out music. I don't even think those are the right words, intro, outro. But to get to 50 almost consecutive episodes, that, my friend, hats off to you. Hats off to us. And we've got Colleen, one of our
long-time listeners
with us today. We're so happy. And and I think that is a good indication. There's commitment there. And I talk a lot, and I'm going to be talking a lot about confidence coming up. And were we this confident knowing, at the beginning of launching this? No. But competence leads to confidence. And I feel that we are much more confident today after 50 episodes than we were episode 1. Go back and watch that episode, and I think you will laugh.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Jenny Laddie is in the background there. I'm
texting my daughter right now to say, let the dog in. I'm on a live YouTube. So this is live. This is what happens in my house. There's a dog in the back barking. So hopefully she hears that. And I'm going to pick up on that, Sylvia. We knew there was enough energy and momentum behind the desire, which got us into inertia, which got us on YouTube to learn how to run that stuff. And, everything else we kind of picked up along the way. And it kind of makes me think about, our conversations about sample size. When women, the risk part for women is showing up and it could go badly. It could crash and burn. But trying is actually the goal, not succeeding. And that, I think we've checkbox, Sylvia, trying rather than succeeding. We did it. We showed up, we committed to it. And here we are a year later. And by the way, still friends, I'd say closer than ever, even.
I didn't even think that we would not be at the, actually, that has never crossed my mind, but that is crossing your mind, actually. We'll come back to that point, Jenny. I'm going to pick your brain about that one a little bit more. But yes, I think we've become closer friends. And my number one learning, I was trying to think what that could be. I learned that I did not think I was an overthinker, Jenny Mitchell. But you pointed that out when we were doing our rebranding of I think it didn't come out until maybe halfway through, or not even until last March, So at the beginning of this year, we
Yep.
wanted to rebrand because we were not just talking about money mindset anymore. And I got into a lot of overthinking.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that was holding us back a little bit. And you brought me out of that. You really put
Interesting.
a spotlight. How about you? What is what
Yeah.
came up for you?
Well, I think that's really interesting. And I think that's the beauty with women of noticing, actually. That's a better way of putting it. I'm noticed, Sylvia, blank, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's an offering that you make to someone. And, Sylvia chose to take a look at it and kind of assess it herself. It doesn't work when I say, Sylvia, you overthink things, right? Because immediately you're going to go defensive, right?
Yeah.
But I notice that this is a pattern or this is a habit. I find that my flow and my confidence, I'd say when I started the podcast, everything had to be quite scripted and I wanted to know what was happening where.
You did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
typical to the way you do the presentation at school, right? I'm going to nail the presentation or the grant application or standing in front of people. And I think you've brought out that sort of more go with the flow, be comfortable.
Yeah, I go with the flow.
Being in the moment. I don't know if we have that on our list, but I would definitely say when in doubt, be in the moment. How many times have I been hunting for notes for the show and just said, oh, screw it. Forget the notes, just talk. Connect.
We know what, I think that's I love that. I love that. Go with the flow, be present, and it comes, right? It's an exchange. I think one of the easier things that I share with people, and when we did this, we wanted to do it together. And I invite you, if you're listening or when you're going to listen, is who in your life can you collaborate with to make things easier, more fun, and bring out the best in you. And I think we have hit the jackpot there because we're not slowing down. We want to keep going. Now, some people, I worked with a client this week and she said, oh my God, I hate collaborations. But that was her past history.
Right.
So what if we take away those stories of the negativity that happened and really look at the positivity? If we're in business, how can we can't be bigger, just living in our little office here. It's really hard to do it on our own. But when we work with other people, like you and I brainstorm, I think those are the greatest things. We coach each other during these times. We catch up with each other. There's this, we help. It's a helping.
I find I need to, when I work with somebody, explaining myself is part of the process, explaining how I see it or clarifying assumptions that somebody would be making or not making. To me, that's a very important part of the process for how we work. That's a really great point. I'm a big collaborator and finding like-minded is important. So we've talked about the Let It Be Easy lesson. We've got 20 of them and I'd love to enumerate them. Let it be easy. Right. The first one we had was who, not how, that idea of who do you want to spend time with? And I just love that one. And
it goes back to who do we want to speak with? If you have not listened to some of the episodes, go back. We've had some amazing speakers and we are looking for guests for, our upcoming episodes and just having access to these amazing women. It's so fun. That is like a big part of it.
And, in past lives, I might have hesitated before reaching out, or I might have, I don't know, I would have created all sorts of stories about what they were going to say to me or not say to me or agree to or not agree. And so that I've really gotten past that idea of just reaching out, find out what happens, see if they're interested in the same things. There's no skin off my nose if they're not interested in the same things. But I'm also on that, and I'm skipping the list, but I'm really learning how to trust my gut a little bit more, right? And just kind of going where the energy goes and trusting that the momentum will bring me to the right place. And that feels easy, Sylvia. I'm not second guessing myself.
Yeah. And it's true, Jenny, when she said that she likes things prepared, because I kind of like, what are we talking about? I have my 3 points in my head and I kind of know where I'm going, but Jenny had all these blocks and we wrote them out and we were very diligent, I would say, for a good, half of the season, half the year. And then as we were, had more of a flow, knew where we were going and we kind of get rid of those, not all of them. We do have a plan, but that easiness, I think those are the better conversations I found. Afterwards, we would come off of them going, oh my God, that was so good.
Yeah.
right?
And I think maybe we needed the step of the boxes to
Mhm.
free us up. It's a little bit, I
Mm.
feel like I'm in an art class. You have to understand the structure before you can, break the rules. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
the process versus organization, that's what or process versus conversation is one of our themes. I want to throw one more in, which is my
Mm.
favorite, the joy bucket. Um,
Oh, yes.
I was at my accountant this morning talking about my business and my plans, and I was telling him that I wanted some joy money, and he smiled and 100% supported me because, of course, I've curated the people around me to support me in my money learning journey, Sylvia, and that was great.
Mm.
Great.
Yeah, that joy bucket, I think for me, I've shared before, joy is one of my top 3 values. So when I am thinking of projects that I want to do, this is related to business, but it also brings me joy. It just so
Yeah.
happens one of my best friends is also a coach, so that works out
Mhm.
really nicely. I hit a couple buckets there. But, when you're going through the process, clients come, should I start a podcast, Sylvia? I said, well, it
Yeah.
does give you a good reach, but will it bring you joy or will it bring you a lot of headaches? Oh, well, I don't know how to edit. I don't know this. Well, then let's look at who can help you with this, because podcasters, there are a lot of people that can help you. So if it will bring you joy, and sharing your knowledge with people, then yes, that is a platform that we can look at, right?
Love
One
it.
thing we
Love
taught, I think that's true to us in the conversations we have. We speak from the heart. There have been tears on the show. When you bring up my daughters, and that's part of my deeper purpose is
Mhm.
speaking to other women, inviting them to step out of their discomfort
Yep.
and making, when we talk for you about around the conference room table, right?
Yep.
Allowing women to speak their truth and their voices. These are very heartfelt and I know for you, meaningful
Yep.
conversations.
Yep.
Yeah.
And for me, speaking from the heart is also not apologizing for who I am,
Mm.
speaking from the deep, deep well that's Jenny Mitchell's reserves, not watching to see how I'm being judged while I'm speaking from the heart, and knowing, here's a big one, accepting that what I'm going to say is going to land the way it lands, that I can't control how it lands. I don't need to change who I am to have it received differently, and that some people won't get it, and that's
Mhm.
okay too. That's been a big journey for me this year. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can't be liked by everyone. Can I mean, there's and there are like
Mhm.
how many 2 million podcasts out there, and the pandemic really everyone was at home and had microphones and access to computers, so the podcast world just boomed.
Yeah.
So, while
Yeah.
it wasn't as busy as before, and now everyone's doing podcasts. However, there is room for everyone.
You
And
bet.
so again, I
Yeah.
invite you, if you're wanting to do one, start.
That's
Start.
right.
Doesn't have to be perfect,
That's
doesn't
right.
have to be perfect.
So on that note,
What
actually,
else?
our next point was community
Mm.
matters. What's personal is most general.
Oh,
And
yeah.
there's a couple sides to this. One side to me is, why are we getting connected to podcasts? And we want and we crave community, right? So we want to have those meaningful people like us. And I think people gravitate to different podcasts with different hosts because they remind them of themselves, or they stretch them because they're themselves.
Yeah.
And the more specific, the more detailed, the more stories we have, I find the community that's supposed to be there comes and joins us, Sylvia. It's like some kind of kinetic energy that brings people, like-minded people, together if they speak their truth and if they speak from the heart.
Yeah. And remember when we go back to before we started the podcast, we were having amazing conversations. And I know all of you listening that you have amazing conversations with your friends
Yeah.
and coworkers, and depending who they are. And we said, hey, we can't be the only ones
Mm-hmm.
talking about this. This will resonate with other
Mm-hmm.
women, with other people. And it has.
It
And that's
really has.
like, it really has. So,
Yeah.
when we're talking about issues in our life, whether it be, we've talked about on this show, money issues, parenting issues, relationships, we talk about it all.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
will resonate with someone. And I love that,
And I want to pick up not
Mm.
from a victim place, but from a place of learning and a place of growth
Mhm.
opportunity. I think that's really important because this is not a bitch fest
Oh,
podcast,
no,
right?
no.
It's a, wow, this happened to me. What am I supposed to learn? How can we or you coach me through this? And how can I lean into this to hopefully not be here again. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, things happen, but that idea of growth and the pursuit of your best self every day, or your next 50. I mean, I think the name goes back to that each time we get closer, we have the opportunity with the learnings we have to get closer to our best next 50, right?
Yeah, and every day is a new day. But as humans, we tend to repeat yesterday. So I think for me, part of this show is, oh gosh, I learned something today in chatting with you and on the topics we're talking about.
Yep.
Okay, tomorrow I have a new day. So, in my own, let's say for me, okay, I want to launch a new program, or I'm launching my new community.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I'm feeling a little bit, okay, no, today's a new day. Don't be the Sylvia from yesterday. Step into just a little bit. Just doesn't have to be a huge step, but just step a little bit and be that person that I know I want to be. Right. And that has been a great learning curve for, we are not the same people, you and I don't think our listeners are as well. We are not the same as when we started this a year ago.
Oh, well put. Very well put. I love that one. So what else have we got? We've got, the more we talk about these issues, the more they become normalized. I love that. I think the more we talk and we share, and if you're listening, how can you bring up some of the things we talk about on this podcast with your girlfriends? Not all of them. They won't resonate with all of them, but even that connection or those subject matters, so that we can all learn together. That really is I think the underpinning of our whole approach. And I see here that Colleen says the Mastermind Ladies, that was a coaching group that Colleen and I chaired with Colleen probably like 3 years ago now, have stayed connected and have created a supportive roundtable monthly, inviting other EDs and new EDs, executive directors. It's a great way to collaborate and support each other. Women come together around tables, around connection. We're hosting a happy hour tonight. If you're listening to this later on, we've now instigated monthly happy hours for the Your Next 50 podcast. And our first one is today at 5 p.m. Eastern, if you're listening live. And we even have our own drink. I mean, that's the kind of podcast
we have a drink. Hats off to my husband. And, we've had two sessions. If you go back again, listen to the ones with Marina and BBG about personal branding. And we were like, okay, how are we different than other people? And, we're not calling it a round table or a live Q&A, or we're not going to have a topic. And, it's really another part of our joy bucket. How do we make it different? And really, it is all about creating that community aspect, which is one of the pillars of the show. And we both love gin. I mean, let's face it, we both are gin drinkers.
Are we gin drinkers? Really?
Yeah, we are. I haven't started yet, Jenny, but we have a Your Next 50 cocktail. My husband created this over the weekend. It is very yummy. I did the testing. I did a lot of testing last weekend. And I look forward to sharing that with you. We've got, a whole lovely list of women coming this afternoon. So look for that. If you can't make it, whenever you're listening to this, join, look at our IG handle. There'll be a link to all of our next events. Back to our learnings. Our learnings, Jenny. What's on the list?
I got one.
Okay.
We have a very special friendship.
Oh, yes, we do.
It spans many, many years, but I think one of the things that's very special is that we've grown alongside each other, and we've learned. I'd like to think I've learned from you, and vice versa. And I'm not going to take that for granted anymore. The pandemic and turning 50-ish, not quite, but so close. I'm going to hold on to those things, and I'm going to make time. That's a commitment. You're only 2 hours away driving, but right now with the pandemic, it feels like
we're
away.
It hasn't. And we were on our being interviewed on another podcast a couple of weeks ago, and the interviewer mentioned, and she tapped into that our friendship really comes out in the way we talk about things, and it's like when you're married to someone for a long time. I know Jenny and I know each other longer than we've known our spouses. And that camaraderie, and that I know when she's ready to say something, I can see it on her face, and she knows the same thing. She knows what I'm going to say before I even do it. And you're right, not to take those friendships that we have in our lives for granted. And yeah, that is another one of my dearest values, friendship and community. So I'm so happy that you're still on board with this, because you started the show, surprised.
Well, and I keep thinking, like, what are we going to be celebrating on our 100th podcast? I have started thinking about that. I have. And one of the phrases I've been using lately, and it was from my coach, is what would future Jenny do? Right? Using
I like that.
I know, as a litmus
I like
test.
that.
What would future Jenny do? And it's sort of driving a lot of the way I show up, and driving some of my choices. I'm a big believer in choices. My Facebook post was all about choice. So, if I go back to our list, I think number 12 we had was overthinking rarely works, whether it's branding, colors, or decisions.
Well, it stops us, doesn't it? And it really stopped my flow for a little while, until you called me out on it. And I just kept coming back. I was coming back and like going in a circle. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't get out of this. Yeah. Were the decisions that we made perfect? Probably not. But I decided at one point to let it go.
Yeah.
And to move forward. And, we some people would have done a huge branding exercise, say before they launched their podcast and whatever, and that would have held us back. So, if you've noticed, we've changed names, and halfway through our podcast, right, we rebranded to another name.
I think your brain can convince yourself of almost anything. Yes. And so when you find yourself in a loop, it's kind of like yourself looping through yourself, and it feels very real. But as one of my good friends, Lucy, says, you don't have to believe everything you think.
Oh, yes. Yeah. It's like like we mentioned last week, putting that imposter syndrome aside and saying, you're in a timeout. Thank you for, showing your face, but I don't have time for you right now. Timeout for you. I'll come back to you later. But yes, we don't have to believe everything we think. Yeah, it keeps us safe, doesn't it? It keeps us small. But yeah.
I got another one.
Go ahead.
It goes along the same lines. Controlling situations rarely works for good. So I think as a woman, especially when the stakes are high, I've been known to control things and to clamp down and to tighten up. I might sound curt. I might sound sharp. I was accused this morning by my husband and my daughter of a bit of a sharp voice when they were supposed to be going to the doctor's office. And I was like, have you going? And that's a control thing that clicks in, because I'm not the driver, if I can own it, right? I'm not driving my daughter to the doctor's office. And so I'm stressed out that they're going to be late. So controlling rarely works. And all you can really do is notice that you're trying to do it.
Yeah, I would even go on. It never works, does it? I mean, I'm trying to think, where would controlling work? I guess when it comes to ourselves and perhaps some of the way we react. But yeah, especially when it comes to other people and working in collaborations. With other people. On one of the Facebook groups about podcasting, they were talking about, do you have a co-host or whatnot? And a lot of people said, oh my gosh, no, I could never have a co-host, because then I would, then I lose control.
Right.
And I thought that was very interesting. And I said, oh, I look at it the other side, and all the wonderful things and the opportunities that it has brought out. The next one we have, women's experiences are surprisingly universal and similar. And I think that goes back to what we said about what's general is more personal, or what's personal is more general. These experiences that we're seeing that the people, the comments that people share with us, that they're also experiencing this. And I think it's when you can say, I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
I thought I was the only one who was afraid of moving forward. Or I thought I was the only one who was afraid of using my voice, and I'm not.
Yeah.
If she can do it,
that's
oh my gosh, I can do it too. Or why am I not doing this? How many times have you gone to a conference or something, and they piped up this speaker, whatever, and you're like, oh, was that it? Oh, okay. Well, I could have done that. Why don't I put my name forward? Yes.
And those baby steps, right? Like where you are and where you want to get to. But what are the steps? I was working with someone yesterday, and I said, okay, so 2 years, and she had such a clear vision. And then I said, okay, 1 year, and she could break it down, and then 6 months, and then one of her goals was to speak more. And I said, so where would you where would be a baby step? And we were able to come up with these really specific things that were in the 3-month, 6-month timeline, but tied into her 2-year plan. And so I do think that future forward approach, what would future Denny do, or it helps you stay true to your intentions, because you get banged around like a sailboat a little bit in life, right? And I don't mean that in with the best of intentions, but you're tacking left, tacking right, and you want to make sure you keep an eye on where it is you want to go. And this whole show is about how at our age we better get dang clear what the destination is, Sylvia, because there's not as much time as there used to be, and you got to make your list. So
yeah, what are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? Because it's true. We never know what's going to happen, how it's going to play out. But when you're younger, you do feel you've got the whole world in front of you. And I sometimes still feel that way, but it's reality sets in. I'm like, actually, I don't. I have a lot of things I want to do, right? I want to,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've got more here. There's one that says that our voices and our messages matter, even if it's just to us. So what that means is we started this. We weren't really out to prove anything, right? We didn't go, okay, this is going to be the revenue driver for X, Y, and Z, or this is what we want to accomplish. We wanted to speak from the heart. We wanted to talk about these subjects. We couldn't find a place on the internet that was speaking this way with our voices, with our messages, and with our ideas. Well, of course not, Sylvia, because nobody is you and I.
That's right.
Similarly, all of you listening have a very unique voice. You are each amazing, individual, thinking, breathing, feeling beings, and your voice matters. And even if it's just to your family, your girlfriends, or if you want to take it bigger with using your voice on a bigger platform, you matter and you are important.
And I think, and that's looking externally, but even to yourself. How often do we kick ourselves when, I didn't say what I really wanted to say? Right. If I could do a redo, I would say this. So even speaking these things to us, but when we speak them out loud, there becomes some form of commitment. Yep. So often we don't want to speak things out loud, even to ourselves. But it's it's important, right? If we don't speak our dreams, how will the universe conspire to make it happen if we don't allow ourselves to dream or say things out loud? I'm a big believer now of saying things out loud, writing them down in ink.
Ink, yeah.
We were in a workshop together, the two of us, and someone was writing in pencil. They got caught. Why are you writing in pencil? Well, because I can erase it. No, own it. Write in pen. Are you a pen writer or a pencil writer?
Well, I'm a bit of both. I love to draw. I'm a big drawer, so I tend to doodle. I had this visual when you described that, though, Sylvia, of speaking out loud, of you in front of your mirror in the morning, taking that moment as I'm, putting on my makeup or whatever I'm doing or fixing my hair, to take a look at yourself and, speak your intention for the day, just like we do in yoga class. I'm always shocked at how simple that intention can be, but how it works for that 1-hour yoga class. Saying it out loud. Amen. You betcha.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We have here that shiny objects are really shiny. I think you put that on the list, but they are really shiny, aren't they? And that comes, 50 episodes in. This could have been one of those shiny object moments that we just put it out there and, do 5 episodes and say, this is too hard. Life is too busy. And I don't want to do this anymore. But this shiny object, we keep shining it. And I think it still looks shiny. I'm liking the shine on this one.
Yeah.
But you can get really caught up and have no direction. So I think comes back to that, what you were talking about with your client. What is that vision? What is that dream? And breaking it up and how to make it, is it really, really what I want? First of all, that's super important.
So I went somewhere else. I was going to shiny objects. Shiny should be ignored. So if your
Mm.
shiny object has a should in front of it,
Oh, yeah.
beware, right? And sometimes shiny is because the path forward is hard and shiny looks easier, all right? And so digging in is what's required of you. That's a really interesting one. I know it sounds cheesy. Shiny objects really are shiny, but it's true. How many times have we like, we should do it this way, we should do it that way, and just sticking true to what you know to be true is important. The other one here is success is tied to perspective. I love this one because I read James Clear's book, The Atomic Habits, and he made
Oh,
the
yeah.
comment that he threw this big party when he hit 1,000 subscribers or something on his marketing thing. And, he never celebrated 10,000 because he was at 100,000, right? So it's like perspective is everything. And so why do we wait to some future state to celebrate? So this is why I love that we're doing a first anniversary podcast celebration.
We've
Because
done a few celebrations,
yeah,
haven't
we
we?
have actually.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
we've celebrated, I think, starting our podcast,
Yep.
and we entice our clients, both of us, to celebrate. And I think as women, we tend not to pat ourselves on the back too much. But there is it goes deep.
Milestone.
It goes deep. And if we're feeling worthy of what we're doing, and this isn't to brag, and this isn't to say, hey, everybody, I'm out here. No, this is even a personal celebration. And we do it every week in our groups. Like, what is one thing that you are super proud of this week? It could be that you got up early every day and exercised, or it could have been that you talked to a friend, or it could have been that you sent out all your invoices and that you did your finance. Whatever it is, I think it's important to celebrate it. I like the big milestones, and I like celebrating birthdays and whatnot. And for a content and marketing aspect, it's a good, you need some fun content once in a while. So we're celebrating.
Well, I know my fundraiser folks, they never fundraise the money that comes in. They just move on to the next fiscal year, right?
They never celebrate the money.
We've got to celebrate and be
Okay.
joyful for that beautiful money that's coming in. That's one of
Oh,
my
yes.
core tenets. We talk here about how we thrive on community. And I think we learned that from the Your Next 50 workshop when we brought all those amazing women together on International Women's Day and my birthday. And we're planning more of those. We will have another one in September. I kind of see this as bookends and bringing people together. And, the feedback was great. They love the content. They love the conversations and the stories. They love the breakout rooms. They love the chance to talk in smaller groups with other women. So that was a great takeaway for us. Hey, Sylvia?
It was. And then we're bringing it into our happy hour, which if you didn't catch it before, we're having one tonight if you're watching us live and every month. But having those opportunities to share among like-minded women, I think is super important. So yes, and we are going to have another one in September. Here, another one, everything is flexible. There are no rules. I that is one of my taglines all the time. Like people talk about, am I doing this right? Meditation, self-hypnosis, or whatever it is, writing. Am I doing this right? And I was like, it's your mind. And I can't tell you what to to think of in your mind. If you want, think what you want. But there, and even with the podcasting, yes, you can find online blog posts and videos about how to set it up and how to do it right. And this is how you have to do it. Are we at 1 million downloads, Jenny? No,
not yet.
Not yet. However, we're getting there. We're moving towards that. But if we wait to have everything right and be perfect, you'll never start anything. I always that's a really good reminder.
Yeah, I think that's
no rules. And if it's your life and you make the rules.
Yeah. I love that. I'm just reveling in that one at the moment. The other one we had was, it's awesome to envision, build, and use your own seat. So you and I have the good fortune to have built our own businesses and be able to own the table, the seat, everything, right? We own the room. But, to build that, if you're in a corporate environment and you've built your reputation, we've talked a lot about building and owning your personal branding. And now I've added this idea of owning your narrative. That was from BBG, right? So owning your narrative, if you haven't listened to that one, that's last week's episode with BBG. I've added a bunch of these things to my lexicon and my toolkit, and letting creating space for women to introduce themselves. That's something I took away from that podcast. And it's glorious. It feels so good, to get out from underneath other people's expectations, other people's cultural norms. I could go on, but it's so liberating, to use your own seat.
Yes, I totally agree that the next one on the list is something that I've been working. We did a whole episode on silence, and that whenever we're looking for answers, where are they? They are within. And Jenny, I had an experience this week. There is a lovely woman who came into one of the groups that I co-manage, and she reads tarot cards, and we were all business women. And she did a tarot reading for money mindset, and it was a lot of fun. You take what you want from it, but she was so spot on to so many with everybody. It was like, and we all know each other's stories, so of course we're like, oh yes, that's so you. When she got to me, she said, oh my gosh, and I'm like, oh, what is it? She goes, you've got like 2 cards here. One is the Hermit. You have to go within to find the answers. And then there was an accompanying card. You have to go within. You got double this. And I'm like, oh yes. And Jenny and I talk about this a lot. Go within. The answers are within, and going silent.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Not easy for me. I have to say, the silent part, it's not my natural MO. My MO is to keep moving. And so, taking that moment with a cup of coffee or taking that time to sit on the back deck is definitely important. And I see from Shannon a happy anniversary wish. That's so nice to hear from Shannon. Another amazing woman doing amazing work. So, Sylvia, what are we going to hear more of from us? What are we going to continue doing here in our next 50?
Our next 50. Well, we are talking a lot about women playing big. We started a Women Playing Big sub-series, and if we have big ideas and a lot of stories we want to share, and really to tap into the women who are doing amazing things. And there are so many of them. I don't know if anyone caught the Forbes 50 over 50, amazing things. We don't have to necessarily go this big, but if you would like to appear on the show and be a guest and tell us and share with us what you're doing, we'd love to hear from you. Or if you have ideas of guests, we're concocting some amazing shows for you.
So more guests. We're going to continue to talk about confidence and visibility. And Sylvia, your membership site really ties in right into that. Tell us more about that one.
I'm launching the So Confident community, and really to invite women to step into that confidence and to a place where we can practice, because I'm a firm believer, the more we do something like this podcast, the more we get comfortable doing it, and then we can move on to something else, and the networking and coming together as a community. And I'm so looking forward to it. It's coming up very, very soon.
So if they want to get in touch, they could probably email you. That might be the easiest thing to do.
Oh, definitely. I had my email here, but it's gone
so
now.
Vibrant.
Yeah,
Sylvia at I know it. so-vibrant.com.
.com. That's what it is. And if you didn't know, Jenny and I are former musicians, not pop star musicians, however, but I think we could have been.
I think so too.
I think we could have been. We are going to have more music. More music. We're not going to sing for you, but we are going to highlight a lot of music coming up.
Well, and it was so easy. I got on this thing exploring the idea of mixtapes. And you guys remember mixtapes and how we would record on New Year's Day? Then now I'm dating myself. On New Year's Day, we'd record all the songs on the radio so that we could have
top 100,
top 100 to listen to. And so I have had a blast. We've had a blast going back and forth on our favorite songs, and we're going to be sharing some of that over social media. Things like the Tracy Chapman song, Fast Car. Sylvia, I had completely forgotten about that. Of course we have Flashdance. Of course we have Sisters Are Doing It for Themselves. Of course we have Dolly, because Dolly is Dolly. I had a girl crush on Annie Lennox along the way. You'll see some of that. Spice Girls. Anyway, I shouldn't give it all away in one show, but you're going to hear some Music Mondays coming up from us as well. Really kind of going with that fun, that playfulness that we think women and their energy can bring to leadership as well as life.
Oh, yeah. So exciting. That's what we have for the next 50.
Yeah.
and other surprises, I'm sure. Thank you so much, everybody. We've gone over our time
I know.
this episode, but 20 learnings. That's a lot of learnings.
Yeah,
But I just want to thank you, Jenny. Thank you again for being there and doing this show with me. It's you are one of my anchors, and I look forward to the next 50 shows with you and with you listening. Everyone who's listening to this, send us your comments. If you're not following us on Instagram, follow us on Instagram.
What's the handle on Instagram? Is it Your
Next 50 Podcast?
Okay,
Your
cool.
Next
Awesome.
50 Podcast.
And I just wanted to say too, thank you to everybody who's done a review. There's a whole, I can't believe how many 5-star reviews we have, and that just like warms my heart. Stay in touch, be in touch, email us, Jenny@chavner.com, Sylvia at so-vibrant.com. Reach out, come join a happy hour. There's good things happening here at Your Next 50 for the next couple of months. And we really genuinely would love to meet you and have you be a part of this community.
That's right. Thank you so much, everybody, and we'll catch you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.